Welcome back to Temporary Mail. If you have not watched our last video on the Chiapas conflict, the untold truth of the Zapatista uprising, check the top link in the description for more. Enjoy the video.
Wake up. Hey, son. Wake up. Están buscando allá afuera unos peladitos ahí. Dicen que tienen algo que decirte. Tocan la puerta, son amigos de las otras veredas. Dicen que te quieren ver cojo.
Una de las figuras políticas más importantes y a la vez más polémicas en el mundo en estos momentos es el general Manuel Arturo Noriega. Tuvimos la oportunidad de conversar con él a la orilla del canal de Panamá, lo que él considera el centro.
Manuel Arturo Noriega Moreno, also known as Pineapple Face, was a Panamanian military and politician, head of the Secret Service of the National Guard caused by the death of General Omar Torrijos in 1981. Noriega occupied the leadership of military power. Origins. Noriega was born into a poor family of Colombian descent. Educated at one of the top high schools in Panama, he was awarded a scholarship to the Chorrillos Military School in Lima, Peru. Upon his return to Panama, he was commissioned a sub-lieutenant in the National Guard and stationed in Colón, where he rose through the ranks and became acquainted with Captain Omar Torrijos. Noriega participated in the military coup that toppled the government of Arnulfo Arias and paved the way for Torrijos' rise to power. Noriega was instrumental in defeating a later coup attempt to unseat Torrijos. For his loyalty, Noriega was promoted to lieutenant colonel and was named chief of military intelligence, in which position he established contact with the U.S. Intelligence Service. His assistance to Richard Nixon's administration to obtain the release of 2 American freighter crews from Havana was colored by persistent reports of his involvement in drug trafficking. As the head of the Panamanian Intelligence Service, Noriega also was known for the tactics of intimidation and harassment that he used against opposition groups and their leaders. By the late 1970s, he was considered to be the most feared man in Panama. When Torrijos died in a plane crash in 1981, Noriega vied with other military and civilian leaders to gain the upper hand. In 1983, he succeeded to the command of the National Guard, unified the armed forces into the Panamanian Defense Forces, and promoted himself to the rank of general. Downfall. Charges against Noriega mounted in the mid-1980s over events connected with the blatant and brutal murder of Hugo Spadafora, a vocal opponent. Further evidence of the laundering of drug money and the sale of restricted American technology and information brought an inevitable conflict with the U.S. government to a head, particularly in light of the imminent transfer of power agreed upon in the Panama Canal Treaty. In 1989, Noriega canceled the presidential elections and attempted to rule through a puppet government. After a military coup against Noriega failed, the United States invaded Panama, part of a plan called Operation Just Cause. He sought and was given refuge in the Vatican Nunciature Embassy in Panama City, where he remained for 10 days while a U.S. Army psychological warfare team blasted rock music at the building. Noriega finally surrendered to the United States on January 3, 1990, and was then transported to Miami, where he was arraigned on a host of criminal charges. In 1992, in a U.S. federal court, Noriega was convicted of cocaine trafficking, racketeering, and money laundering. He received a 40-year sentence, but his jail term was later reduced. Having served some 17 years, Noriega completed his sentence on September 9, 2007. He remained in prison, however, as he appealed his extradition to France, where in 1999 he had been tried in absentia and convicted of money laundering and other crimes. In 2010, the U.S. Supreme Court refused to hear his appeal, and in April, Noriega was extradited to France, where he went on trial in June. The following month, he was convicted and sentenced to 7 years in prison. In 2011, however, France agreed to extradite Noriega to Panama, where he had been tried in absentia and convicted for the murder of political opponents, including Spadafora. On December 11, 2011, Noriega returned to his home country, where he began serving 3 20-year prison terms. Death. On February 5, 2012, Noriega was moved to Hospital Santo Tomas in Panama City because of high blood pressure and a brain hemorrhage. He remained in the hospital for 4 days before being returned to prison. It was announced on March 21, 2012 that Noriega had been diagnosed with a brain tumor, which was later revealed to have been benign. On January 23, 2017, he was released from prison and placed under house arrest to prepare for surgery that would remove the tumor. On March 7, 2017, he suffered a brain hemorrhage during surgery, which left him in critical condition in the intensive care unit of Hospital Santo Tomas. Noriega died on May 29, 2017, at the age of 83. Panamanian President Juan Carlos Varela announced Noriega's death shortly before midnight, writing, "The death of Manuel A. Noriega closes a chapter in our history. His daughters and his relatives deserve to bury him in peace." If you enjoyed our video on Manuel Noriega, make sure to hit like and subscribe to catch up on our daily uploads of unspoken truths of shocking historic events, narco sagas, wars, and more.